Welcome to the Songwriter Connection podcast, where we look at the craft of songwriting through the eyes of the songwriter. Each week, we make a connection with a music maker, listen to their songs, and hear their stories. From Nashville, Tennessee, here's your host, Dave Lenahan.
Thank you, and I appreciate you joining us in the Songwriter Connection podcast into season 2 already. I can hardly believe it. This is episode 2 with a very special guest. We have Nancy Deckant. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Dave.
Nancy is a publisher here in town, but also an award-winning songwriter. She's done some plugging along the way. We'll talk about that. And she's the founder and CEO of this great new community of songwriters and publishers that we call Discover Sooner. Nancy, we're going to learn all about that. We got to hear a song here, man. I love this song. This is Friday in My Driveway, written by our guest today.
Upside down, koozie on a mailbox flag. Smoker be smoking up the cul-de-sac. Spend all day popping up the party tent, so the boys and the girls and the beer don't sweat. About a quarter mile off the highway, happy hour starts at 4:58 on Friday in my driveway. Slipping on a downhill slide day, a 3-day replay, crash at my place, take it all the way to Sunday. After sundown, the sun will go down, garage doors up, party lights on Friday, in my driveway, Friday, in my driveway. If there's no room to park in the neighbor's yard, I'll come pick you up, girl, in my Gator car. Yeah, I will. We'll hang by the fire pit all night long, pass the guitar, sing your favorite song. I'll hood dance with flowers in my hair, everybody laughing in their lawn chairs. On Friday, in my driveway, slipping on a downhill slide, 3-day replay, crash at my place, take it all the way to Sunday. After sundown, the sun will go down, garage doors up, party lights on Friday, in my driveway, Friday, in my driveway. You don't have to leave, you can stay late, stay late. We'll find something to celebrate on Friday in my driveway, slipping on a downhill slide, 3-day replay, crash at my place, take it all the way to Sunday. On Friday in my driveway, slipping on a downhill slide, 3-day replay, crash at my place, take it all the way to Sunday. After sundown, the sun will go down, garage doors up, party lights on Friday, in my driveway, Friday, in my driveway, Friday, in my driveway, yeah, Friday, in my driveway. After sundown, the sun will go down, garage doors up, party lights on Friday, in my driveway, Friday, in my driveway.
Oh, it's a neighborhood thing. It's a Friday thing. I love that song. Our guest on the podcast, Songwriter Connection, is Nancy Deckant, and she had her hand in writing that song with Billy Lee, our good friend, and Scott Berrier too, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Now, I know if we are taping this on a Tuesday, and it publishes on Wednesday, September the 8th, so it could be Wednesday, Tuesday, any day for you, but it feels like Friday to us.
It's right here, right now. It's
Yes.
Friday all the time. We're listening to that song.
Good to have you on the show, Nancy. Tell us a little bit about the writing of that song. And first of all, before you do that, I have to tell you, I watched Scott Berrier at a writer's round at Commodore Grill here in Nashville do that song, and they wouldn't let him leave until he did it. And all of the waitresses, everybody on their feet, singing along, Friday in my driveway. So you know it's a hit. People love this song. So tell us about it.
All right. Well, it started with, I was walking around the neighborhood one day and taking my morning exercise, and I kept going, Friday, yeah, Friday, yeah, and Friday. And I was like, okay, there's something here.
Yeah.
There's really something here. And then the person that I wanted to write it with, who's a producer, he went to New York and he didn't come back. And I was like, oh, now I've got to find someone else to write this with. And you kind of trust your ideas to only certain people.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to. I love writing with artists, but I want to be with songwriters who, and this one. So Billy and Scott and I got together one day, and I threw that idea out, and we were like, yeah. And Scott goes, Friday in my driveway. And I was like, and he's looking with that Scott look, right? Yeah. And then I go, wait a minute. And there's something on the internet about everybody doing these Friday in their driveway things. And we're going, we're going to hook into this all-American thing, right?
Yeah.
And then we just worked our way through the song together, and it felt like a hit to us.
Yeah.
And
it does have that hit feel.
Anyway, so it's been picked up by some folks, and it really hasn't gone anywhere here in Nashville. I've been looking for the right artist, for an artist who, wants to celebrate an all-American tradition on this, as Sean Stamley or Morgan Wallen or someone like that, but it just hasn't worked out yet.
Who doesn't want a party song now? Come on.
God.
Contact Nancy. Nancy Deckant, Discover Sooner.
That's right. And at a certain point, we decide, okay, look, we haven't found any takers on this song, so we're just going to put it out ourselves.
Why not?
And this is sort of one of my things lately. It's like how to kill a song. This is how you kill it. You write it, and you kill the song. It's a really great song. And then the person who sang the demo is like, no, you can't use my voice on that song. I'm an artist, and I only want to put out whatever. Now I'm like, I got to find a new demo singer.
Find a new singer.
Someone who sings that good, right? Because he had the right feel, right?
Yeah.
And love him, and really get it, and congratulations to him. But I'm like, this is killing me, because I would have had it out this summer. But
from what I understand, there are some singers in this town.
There are. Help me find one, Dave.
Yeah, you got it.
Right, we're going to celebrate it when you do.
That will be a great song. And it'd be a great summer song, so just wait for next summer.
Yeah, it's next summer, for sure. Unless we find somebody in the meantime.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
right?
Yeah. We could have winter parties Friday on the driveway.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about you. You've been in Nashville for 13 years, but it didn't start when you came to Nashville. You've been writing songs for a long time, so tell me a little bit about the Nancy Deckant story.
Okay, well, I like a lot of us as kids, right? You grow up kind of writing poems and singing them on your way walking home from school. And in my 20s, I played in church, and this was really like a Jesus people church.
Yeah.
And they would let us make up our own songs and bring them to the church, right? And you just like, everybody's sitting around and you just throw out a song, right? And so I wrote and, played in the church, and there were 7 guitars in the church, and somebody gave me a mandolin. Like after I had gone to see Seals and Crofts, and Dash Crofts shook my hand, and I was like, I'm playing the mandolin. And then somebody gave me a mandolin, so I started playing the mandolin. So I played mandolin in the church, and did that for a bunch of years, and in my 20s and stuff. And then, life took hold and stuff.
Yeah.
And you go,
life happens.
It happens.
Yeah.
And then, it's like forever. And I just played around campfires and didn't really write any songs. And then I met my current husband, George. And George Salamanca has
love George.
A family of musicians.
Yeah.
And if there's 7 people around the table, if there are 10 people around the table, 7 of them are do music, in church, a big dance band in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania called Dancing Queen is George's brother, Ronnie. Wow. And 1,500 people come out and do disco, right, with him. So it was like, I like this guy. And before I knew it, I was playing mandolin in a sort of a death cab for cutie band.
Oh, nice.
And so we just had a great time.
And this is in Pittsburgh, right?
This is in Pittsburgh, right?
Is that where you grew up?
Youngstown, Ohio.
Youngstown, okay.
And me and Bob DePiro.
Bob DePiro did come from Youngstown.
So,
and I worked in radio in Youngstown.
Oh, did you?
Well, just outside of Youngstown. I first started in radio there.
No kidding.
Yeah, absolutely. And I grew up in Cleveland, so I know we're kind of like Cleveland, Pittsburgh.
By the lake.
But we're friends. The steak by the
Love to
lake.
hate ya.
We call it Pitt's puke, sorry. But no.
We call it the brownies.
Yeah.
What can I say? Well, I am from Pittsburgh.
Well,
that's real my adopted home city, right?
I want you to know, before you came over, I noticed I was wearing my Cleveland Browns t-shirt, and I said, nope, I can't do that. I can't do that to Nancy. So
that's kind of
I switched.
Well, we have text feuds on, with families trash talking on the, and I'd be like, football season's back. And there's nothing else to do in the wintertime in Pittsburgh, so don't hold it against those people.
No, and I hear you. It's same in Cleveland here. So, so I totally identify. Right. Now, we talked a lot on this show in the past about the NSAI group, which is Nashville Songwriters Association International. You were a coordinator in Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah.
And I was in Cincinnati, so we've got that in common.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So tell us about that experience.
Yeah. Well, in the band, we were in this band called the Faders, right?
Uh-huh.
And the John who wrote the songs, he was wonderful, Death Cab for Cutie kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And John was, we went to go do an EP, and John freaked out and was like, "No, I don't want to be the lead singer. I just want to play bass in my wife's band." And so the band fell apart, right? Oh, and so I
how to kill a song, how to kill a band.
How to kill a band. I was like, I understand completely now. But George and I decided, well, we need songs. We started writing songs again. And then the thing was, Jason Bloom came to Pittsburgh, hosted by the NSAI group, and it actually gave me a vocabulary, things that you could articulate, can do this and that and the other thing, and make sure there's someplace really high where the singer can soar, and oh, okay. And, NSAI was a huge part of, really learning the craft of songwriting.
Yeah, it was for me too.
And it changed everything for me.
And you mentioned Jason Bloom. Mm-hmm. If you're new to songwriting, he's got some books out there, and they are just really recommended reading. Mm-hmm. So he came to your workshop.
He came before I was a coordinator. I went and I was sold, right? Mm-hmm. And then what happened was I was working as an engineer, and I was crying in my cubicle on a daily basis, like, Lord, please help me move away from this dreadfully boring job. And 3 days later, I got laid off. I was like,
prayers answered.
Jesus, that was really fast work for you, right? And at that point, George and I, let's downsize. Mm-hmm. And let's just I was doing a lot of visual art at that time. And, while we were playing in the band, let's just do art and music. So we consciously became really poor. We're just going to do this. We're over traditionally aged, I guess you could say, but we're going to do this. And anyway, so the songwriting just kept growing and growing and growing in my life. And in 2013, in January, I sat down to try to book the band for the next coming year. And I was like, I don't want to do this. Because I know, because of coming to Nashville, every time I would come here, I would get ideas and I would get melodies, and then I would go back to Pittsburgh and it was like crickets, and this is terrible. And then I just come back to Nashville and it's all on.
It is, and it's so inspiring, isn't it? Yeah.
What is it? And I sincerely believe that, we are a creative community, and because of all that spirit, it's everywhere.
I think so.
And so we're called, our heart called.
You nailed it. You nailed it. I agree.
That's it. So I was like, honey, let's move to Nashville. And he's like, well, you go back and forth for a while and see if this is what you really want. And I was like, oh, I know, this is what I want. But I really gave up an art career to come here.
You are an amazing artist. I've seen some of your work. You are, and that doesn't surprise me, because talent usually runs in a lot of different veins. Yeah. And I've seen your artwork and of course listened to your songs. And in fact, I want to play another one right now. And then when I come back, I want to talk about your publishing, and we have to talk about Discover Sooner, because it's a great community here.
Well, I want to tell you the story when we get back about how I became a publisher.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Stuff like that. So
yeah, absolutely. So let's play this song. Turn Out the Lights. Okay. Anything you want to say about that going in? It's a great song.
You just listen. You're telling you. You tell us what you think.
All right. Who's the singer?
It is Jacob Hackworth.
There we
And
go.
remember this name, people, because you will hear him again.
If you wanna know what I'm gonna do when I get home, it's gonna make your pretty little heart skip. First thing I'ma do is wrap myself around you and lay a long, slow one on your lips. When I pull into your drive, I won't even waste my time turning off my two-tone Chevy, leave it running till it's empty. Girl, it's gonna be one hell of a night. I wanna see your long hair fall, push you up against the wall, let my hands do the talking. Wanna get you out of that dress, leave it laying right next to my t-shirt in the hall, yeah. Can't nobody make love like we do, baby. Every time we do, it's the sun coming up kind of night. Wanna make you close your eyes, like we're turning out the lights. Ain't stopping for no bottle of wine, I'm rolling through every sign that's got any shade of red on it. If I see any blue light up in my rear view, girl, I'ma make these four tires spin. I wanna see your long hair fall, push you up against the wall, let my hands do the talking. Wanna get you out of that dress, leave it laying right next to my t-shirt in the hall, yeah. Can't nobody make love like we do, baby. Every time we do, it's the sun coming up kind of night. Wanna make you close your eyes, like we're turning out the lights. When I pull into your drive, girl, I ain't gonna waste no time. I wanna see your long hair fall, push you up against the wall, let my hands do the talking. Wanna get you out of that dress, leave it laying right next to my t-shirt in the hall, yeah. Can't nobody make love like we do, baby. Every time we do, it's the sun coming up kind of night. Wanna make you close your eyes, like we're turning out the lights. Wanna make you close your eyes, like we're turning out the lights.
Great song. The Songwriter Connection podcast, our guest is Nancy Deckant, and she's a writer on that song. So tell us the story behind it. It's a great song. It is, it is such, it's, as I say, in the pocket. I could hear that on the radio right now. And my first thought is, why isn't it?
Why is it not on the radio? Oh my God, how to kill a song, Dave.
That's going to be a new podcast someday.
That's
I
right.
just know it.
We're going to do it. Okay, so the wonderful writers that I was with, Madison and Justin, I had this idea.
Justin Love?
No.
Justin
Wilson from
okay.
Play It Again Music,
Okay.
Dallas Davidson's company, right?
Okay, all right.
And so we had this, I had this idea about turning out the lights, and he was like, oh, I get it, you know, and, you know, like Justin Wilson has had many hits, and there's a reason why Justin Wilson has had many hits, because some people are sort of thoroughbreds at this stuff. And you know, his Dallas Davidson's company wrote all that bro country stuff, right?
Oh, did they?
I mean, and they, you know, like Luke Bryan, Strip It Down, right? They
Really?
know how to be kind of, you know, they're the guys who came from farm. They're farm boys, right? Every one of them over there. Anyway, so Justin's great at what he does, and he's an emotional guy, and a lot of this just poured out of him. And me and Madison are just like, you know, on this racehorse, we're trying to keep up and throw in a couple of lines, right? But I think it was just the right combination of people, and, you know, you don't stand in the way of it. And we haven't found a place for the song yet. I've worked really hard to try to find it. Jacob wants to record this song, but one of our co-writers is holding out for a major label artist. And I believe Jacob is a major label artist. He just doesn't have his major label going yet. And,
like you say, that's a name to remember. Jacob
Hackworth.
Hackworth. Yeah.
Hacky Hack.
Hacky Hack.
He will hate me for saying that. So he's a dear, dear friend.
Google him. His stuff is out there.
And
including this song you just heard.
He just released one of his first album, his first EP, and it's pretty amazing. He's got a song called Steppin' Out. It just drives me crazy. It's like country and hip hop influenced, and I love Jacob and believe in it, and I believe in him, and I believe he will be he will be on a major label, and maybe he'll still be interested in this song when it does. In the meantime, there's all kinds of great people out there.
Right. And that leads me right into the next thing. Your role as a publisher. How did that start for you? And tell us a little bit about what you do as a publisher.
It's so crazy. So I started coming back and forth in 2013, and you know what it's like, Dave. You get to the point. I mean, I just started writing and writing and writing and writing. That's all I was. I was self-published, and I knew how to get songs around a little bit. But by 2015, I could not do it anymore. I was like, I'm going to throw myself at the mercy of my husband and beg him, please move. And we actually ended up moving. But early 2015, when we made that commitment, I was literally driving to my first co-write as a homeowner, condo owner in Nashville. And the voice in the car. You know that one. There's a voice that talks to you in the car sometimes.
I love that voice. That voice. It's helped me write some songs.
That's right. That voice says sometimes, and it says, well, and it had a lot to say this day. I was like, you know how you have a lot of room in your closets right now because you just moved? Well, there's room for expansion. And I was like, what are you talking about? Well, right after that, one of my co-writers says to me, I want to go into business, and I want to go into business with you. Oh. And let's be publishers. And I was like, okay, let me think about that. And then like a week after that, I was at the CMA Fest, and I met, and one of the folks from the NSAI group, Perry, had come down and said, hey, I used to live in Nashville, and I'm telling you, you have the personality of a song plugger, and I'm going to pay you $100 a month to plug my song.
Wow.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah. Now.
And I was like, but wait, Perry. Wait, Perry. I don't know hardly anybody. And he says, I don't care. Just do it. And then the week later, I was at the CMA Fest, and I saw this hit songwriter, Bernie Nelson, and he goes,
big time.
Well, Daddy never was the Cadillac kind, right?
Yeah,
that Bernie Nelson. He said, great guy. And he says, well, what do you do? And I go, well, I'm a song plugger. And he goes, great, I need a song plugger. And I was like, wow. Wait, I don't know that many people.
And he's like, I don't care.
He goes, I don't care. He said, I can get you into any room in this town.
Wow.
And I was like, all right.
I'm there.
Let's do it. Okay.
Sign me up.
And he never took me anywhere. But his name, I went to Red Lane. Red Lane had passed away, and BMI was having a party. Mm-hmm. And because I was a song plugger, because my friend had said I had gotten the 50 people in charge, and I was studying everybody's faces in the in charge, so that when I went to events, I could see them. I knew who they were, because you can always tell the business people. They have a kind of button-down check shirt. And a pair of khaki pants on there. As compared to those songwriters who are in jeans and they got a t-shirt on. So you can almost always tell, and their hair is really cut nice and stuff like that. So anyway, I was at this BMI event, and I saw Buddy Cannon. at the taco table.
Oh, my.
And this was a memorial, so I didn't want to bother him, but he walked out the door and I followed him. And I go, hey, buddy, I'm Nancy, and I do song plugging for Bernie Nelson, and John Goodwin, John who wrote, Brad Paisley's Everlasting Love. Can I send you, drop off a CD? And he goes, no. He goes, here's my telephone number. Call my office in the morning and get my email address and send me any song you want.
Oh, my.
And I was like, I'm in business, man. I'm in business. Okay, I'm going to do it. This is how we do it, right?
This is how
and
we
he
do
has,
it.
and him and Shannon over there have been, they don't really know me all that well, but they have graciously listened to songs that I have sent them throughout the years. And I've never sent them anything I didn't really, with my whole heart of hearts believe in.
And that's probably the smart thing to do, because they know then what you represent is quality.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I feel like as a song player, you can get thrown out of the room by, then all of a sudden you go from being the person who said yes all the time, like the songwriter who just doesn't understand, to really understanding that it really needs to fit the artist. Maybe that art, I had to go back and listen to everything that Kenny Chesney ever sang. I can't go double up on something he already sang about.
But he can and produces Kenny Chesney if you don't know listening.
Right,
Yeah.
Kenny Chesney. I can't go, do another, thing that he's already done. I need to know their catalog extensively for me to be able to not just, to earn staying.
And also because Buddy is a great songwriter too. He really is. Buddy Ken's a great songwriter.
Yeah. I once sent him this song called Same Boat, and he goes, oh, I wrote that.
That's right.
I had no idea. Buddy Ken, and I'm sorry, I only studied Kenny Chesney's catalog. So Kenny Chesney doesn't know anything about me. And probably if you ask Buddy Cannon, I don't even know how much he knows me, but I see him from time to time and say hi and thank you. And
he's a great guy.
I
did get to meet him. I delivered Alexis to him. I used to work at Alexis in Nashville when I first came to town.
So then that's how I did it. Mm-hmm. And then I hired Jeffrey Nelson, who is a great longtime song plugger, and I hired him to coach me. Oh. So that's what we did. And honestly, a year after song plugging, it's just the kind of job that makes you sit in the corner and cry.
Yeah.
Because
all the no.
It is like, how am I? And you never know if someone listened to the song or not. And then so we ended up getting Song Space. So we knew if someone played the song. And I knew, tools like that probably really saved me because I knew it was getting listened to or not. Good. Right. And then I could, not that I had, and it just kind of build it from there, the relationship, okay, don't tell anybody, but so if I didn't hear back from somebody after 3 weeks, I'd send it again and say, hey, I'm really sorry, but Song Space had a problem. And they were like, yeah, I listened to it. Sorry, I didn't get back to you. Okay, pass.
Now, you sent me your songs today on Song Space, and that was new to me. I had not heard of that before. So that's just an online service?
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. It doesn't cost that much, and you can tell, and you actually know what zip code the person was when
that's good.
And so, I know my songs have been played, for Blake Shelton. I was like, yes. We're gonna get pass, But our songs have made it to Blake Shelton, and we know it. And it's because we know it was pandemic times, and we knew it was out at home. So I would just say that tools like that, it's not the kind of thing you got to be smart on this. You can't just call up people and say, well, what did you think of the song? Yeah. You just, if they call you back, then they want it. If they don't call you back, they don't want it. They listen to it. Don't put them in a bad position. Don't make them say no. Be happy that they listen to it. Yeah. That's what I do. Let me ask you,
is it more like that today? I mean, it used to be in the old day, you'd go into the room and you'd play them songs. There's very little of that face-to-face meetings anymore, huh?
Okay.
Or is there?
Well, okay, like Missy Gallimore said, I can sit here and listen to 75 songs at my computer or come over there and have a meeting with you guys and and listen to 10 or 20 songs.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting more done if I stay here. So there are some people who are really privileged at larger companies who get in, but great longtime song pluggers. I mean, like Shane Barrett said to me, Nancy, don't disparage the humble drop off. Just keep, like sending it by MP3 but in an email, and they listened is enough. You are in a privileged few, and I only send songs to people who've given me permission, and I just, I've given up wanting something bigger. There's a lot that we all get from being in the room with an A&R person, like what's going on. But, all of us pluggers, we all talk to each other and we circulate the news. So I got my ways to know the things that aren't heard on the pitch sheet. And we all help each other to,
Again, community.
Yeah, it is. It's a huge community. Yeah. It's really important.
Speaking of community, you put together this fantastic organization called Discover Sooner. And tell us all about that. And folks, if you're a songwriter and looking to get your stuff out there, looking for a place to connect, I can't recommend Discover Sooner any higher. So this is a really neat organization. Tell us how it came about and what it's all about.
Okay, well, it kind of goes back to my my days in AA. Okay, so I've been sober for a bunch of years, but you know what it takes to make a new meeting in AA, because there's kind of one in every corner. All it takes is a resentment and a coffee pot.
And we have a meeting.
Well, it's sort of like that. I just kind of felt like, it is so hard to meet the people. And at 5 years in Nashville, I started seeing that, Baker Grissom, him and I played together at the open mic night for Barbara Cloyd over at the Blue Bar, right? And I just immediately knew this guy was a phenomenal melody maker. He was going to be a hit songwriter. You still haven't heard about Baker, but all of us who are here in town do. I was like, Baker, I mean, if he was with the right people right now, he would be getting into the winner's circle faster, right? And I was like, it takes 5 years to just build your network. So that's why in that 5 years when you arrive at Nashville, you could be ready on day one, but most of the time it takes 5, 7, 10 years to get there. And it's not the music, it is the time, it is the network. Yeah. What if we had a place like LinkedIn meets Bumble, where the songwriters could put in their profile and their music, and not just that business stuff, like how many streams you've got. And then publishers could, you have to give it to them. If they have too many songwriters, beating down their door, it's just overwhelming. So they have to really manage who they have in their life because of referrals. So what if it was like Bumble, on Bumble, the girls reach out first. The publisher would have to reach out first. And I was like, this is a great idea. And so I walked it, and I thought people could get there faster. The people really needed it, right? And so I went and I talked to some really top publishers in town, and they thought, hey, I think you have something here. And I was like, I'm an entrepreneur underneath it all.
Yes, you are.
Of course, let's do this. So I went and invested in this application, to do it.
Right.
And we launched in April 2020, which was the pandemic hit, and I'm ready to roll.
Oh, gosh.
And, it's sort of the almost perfect timing, Dave, because nobody could go out. So I was like, okay,
well, there you go.
And so I would have been doing physical events to attract people over at BMI and ASCAP and things like that. But instead, we just started, okay, let me go get the publishers in my life, and let's just start having events, free events, that anybody could come to and learn about this publisher. And then when we learn what they're looking for, then we can send them some songs, send them some writers, because it's not about the song for a publisher. They usually have writers. They're looking for the right writers. And so that's what I thought this would be. And so we've just been developing on that theme. And it's like army crawling up my belly, you know. It's like, what did I do? Like, I'm 2 months after I'd done this, Dave, I was like sitting on my couch crying. And I got a call from one of the best young artists in this town. His name's Joe Hansen, who I know really well. And, you know, I'd done lots of retreats and helped him get with hit songwriters like Jason Duke and people. Anyway, he called me and he says, Nancy, the Lord told me to call you and tell you that lean not to your own understanding. Whatever it is, it's going to work out. And I was like, thank you. Gosh. Thank you, Joe.
That's like that's a God thing.
Oh, by the way, Joe goes, oh, and by the way, I just met Jesus during the beginning of the pandemic. And I was like, I love you, Joe. This is so great. And every time I'm near Joe, I'm on the phone with Joe gets some message for me from high above. It's about songwriting. You know, Dave, I came here as a songwriter. I'm a good songwriter. I got ideas that people seem to like. And right now I got my face in front of a computer day and night. And I really didn't think this part through, right? Okay, now I'm like this social media maven. I'm like, no, I want to write a song. No, you have to do this because if you don't, then this thing dies. You want it to die, or do you want it, you know, what are you doing here? And you have to answer that question for yourself as, you know, it's the, you know, you choose one thing, it's a fork in the road. Right. And so it still kind of doesn't make sense to me because I love writing songs and I'm not ever going to stop writing songs.
Good. You just have to make time for it. You have to schedule the time and do it.
And just do it.
And
I have wonderful co-writers in my life, and I have leaned my head on their shoulders a lot in this past year. But you know, this too shall pass.
Yes, it will. I think you've accomplished so much in the short time you've been in Nashville. And Discover Sooner, it's just a godsend. And I encourage you, if you're a songwriter, if just Google it. But the website is what? Is it?
DiscoverSooner.com.
That's
right.
And check it out. You'll find out a lot more about Nancy
Come
and everything they do.
Be a part of our community. We'd love to help you. I mean, there are individuals. We have to help someone meet the right person who helped them get a record label deal. We cannot talk about who that is till the lawyers get their deal done. They're like, we got street cred, man.
That's great. And so, like, if you're looking for other songwriters to connect with and maybe co-write with, that's where you're going to find it.
That's right.
So,
and right now we have this program with a mentoring program with Courtney Allen, and we're going to put you, songwriter, in the room with two other really advanced songwriters.
Oh, that's great.
And she is going to, I mean, this is a paid program, but it is like a kind of an amazing thing. There's nothing like it in Nashville.
Wow.
And I am determined to get a few people here publishing deals. And I know that's my plan.
It's wonderful work, what you do, really.
Thank you.
Well, let's get back to some of the songs that you wrote.
Okay.
So I've got this one. I was really fortunate to MC a couple events at the Holiday Inn in West End, where the Commodore Grill was. During the COVID, we couldn't do shows there, so they had this idea of doing these parking lot parties. It's too bad it wasn't Friday in my driveway. They were parking lot parties, and we had some really cool artists like Walker Hayes played, and the two artists that we're going to play next on the podcast, like the Dallas, who you talked about, Dallas Remington. We're going to play Princess. Tell us about this song.
Okay. Well, Dallas and I had this plan to go write with Bridget Tatum, who is... And if you look at Bridget Tatum, she wrote She's Country, that Jason Aldean. Like, Dallas is cut out of the same mold,
she
right?
Really is.
And Dallas had gone on to Bridget's Instagram and saw Bridget thinking about, I mean, talk about preparation. This is Dallas Remington.
Yeah.
She is a determined young artist, songwriter to make it in this. And anyway, so she had gone on to Bridget's site and came into the room with this a hook, Princess. That was it. And Bridget started playing this, hook, this guitar hook. And it just like, boom, it went crazy from there.
Magic.
And so why don't you just play it?
Yeah, man, here it is, Princess.
It's got over 1 million views. It does. It has over 1 million views.
That's fantastic. Dallas Davidson, song written by Nancy, our guest.
Dallas Remington.
Yeah. What did I say?
Yeah.
gotta cook. You don't think you gotta clean. You wanna paint your nails, sit around reading magazines. A selfie machine, a self-claimed royalty. Well, there's a difference between perception and reality. You ain't a princess, you're just a dirt road every time. There ain't no prince here, just a bunch of bars and some pickup trucks. Yeah, the closest to the crown you'll ever get or ever got is at the bar taking double shots. You ain't a princess, you're just a small town hang around, never leaving hot mess. Ain't got a castle on a hill, girl, let me be real. You got a double wide trailer with some late utility bills. Your daddy ain't no king of anything. It don't count that your mama was the 88 soybean queen. You ain't a princess, you're just a dirt road every time. There ain't no prince here, just a bunch of bars and some pickup trucks. Yeah, the closest to the crown you'll ever get or ever got is at the bar taking double shots. You ain't a princess, you're just a small town hang around, never leaving hot mess. Girl, I've been knowing you too long for you to sell me on that junked up knockoff charade you got going on. You ain't a princess, you're just a dirt road every time. There ain't no prince here, just a bunch of bars and some pickup trucks. Yeah, the closest to the crown you'll ever get or ever got is at the bar taking double shots. You ain't a princess, you're just a small town hang around, Pinto getting round, dime store discount, cars running background, never leaving heartless.
Country rocker, that's for sure. I know I said Dallas Davidson, which is silly. He's a great song. Dallas Remington is her name. She can sing, she can play. She's a real deal. And a song written by our guest today.
You know, and
Nancy Deckant.
I'd like to say this one thing about Dallas. Dallas and I showed up together at a Commodore round in 2013.
Yeah?
She was 13 years old.
13.
I know.
Wow.
I mean, it's a true millennial, right?
Yeah.
Right? This girl has treated songwriting like a job. She just comes in ready to rock and roll and do it. And she plays that acoustic guitar and can spar with her lead guitar player on electric any day of the week.
Yeah.
Play bass if she wants to. She's multi-talented, just amazing.
Fabulous.
And, you know, you're all gonna hear her name.
You will.
You
I
will.
think you will.
I do.
She's done so many cool things. So that is a neat song. It really is. And one to watch. We've got so many great young, talented people in this town.
I mean, God.
Like Ava Page.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And you say, well, I can do it from where I'm at. And
Yeah.
you can write in New York City.
Right.
But when you come to Nashville, then I think the world of artists and other songwriters that you would never have met are here for you. And
yeah.
I mean, you can be a phenomenal songwriter anywhere in the world, but there's a good reason why a whole lot of people live here.
Well, and even the ones that don't, they do make it a point to come in, like once a month or so, come in for a week, right? Come back out. You know, there's just that allure in this town, and we've talked about it in the show in the past. Yeah. Well, I want to play one more.
Okay.
And this is another artist that was at the parties that we did during COVID out at the Holiday Inn, Commodore Grill, the parking lot parties. And he's an artist who calls himself J4.
Okay, I want to talk about J4
Let's talk about J4.
Let me talk about J4 for a minute.
And this song.
Okay, so J4, his name is J4 Wandas. Okay, Joseph Henry Wandas the fourth, and that's why they call him. All his friends call him J4, right?
Yeah.
And J4 was at Belmont, and he came to work for my publishing company, Nashville Cool, as an intern, an audio intern.
Oh, wow.
And so our goal was for, to join in the rights that we had. And whenever someone writes, then he would do the audio track and he'd be a part of the writing. And at a certain point, we're like, okay. And I have been writing with Eric Malone, Eric Malone is a great producer in town, and he actually has Wine Country on Andrew Janikos's album right now, because last summer he went to a retreat and he wrote with Andrew, and then Andrew
Nice.
got signed. Andrew got signed to Sony.
Wow.
And so, but anyway, Eric is a phenomenal producer and songwriter, melodies, ideas, lyrics, everything. He's got it all. And so I'd been writing with him, and he produced while we were writing. And so it's like, okay, this is what we do, J4. Let's go over and write with Eric, and then you'll see how he does it, and then you'll feel more comfortable about this. And he's like, yeah, sure. So, and that's how we did. And we started, we just felt, we had multiple writes with Eric Malone, and one of this song Better came out of one of those ideas, or, sessions with Eric. And I recently saw J4, who did graduate from Belmont, and he said, Nancy, I'm doing today what we did in that room in 2018 and 19. I mean, every interns who've ever worked for me has come and stayed for a year. I've been totally blessed, whether, Bowie came as a song plugger. Katie Fee came as a song plugger. These kids know country music and stayed on for a year and helped to build Nashville Cool, and J4 was one of them.
Nice.
And so anyway, during the pandemic, every time I would feel bad, I would just listen to this song. And then J4 said, hey, I'm going to put this song out. I was like, thank you, Jesus, thank you.
So this is out there. I'm playing it from Spotify right here, so you can find it. It's called Better. J4 is the artist. Nancy Deckant, songwriter, on the Songwriter Connection podcast.
I've messed up time and time again. I say one thing, run a different direction. Let go so fast when I should've went slow, leaving no time for self-reflection. But I never met somebody like you, who gets me, girl, the way that you do. 'Cause you make me wanna be better, and I ain't gonna leave you ever. 'Cause when you put your arms around my heart, you're making me, you make me wanna be better. You broke down all my walls with just one look. When all I saw was bad, you saw the good. You deserve the kind of love you give to me, and I gave you my whole world, just like I know you would. 'Cause you make me wanna be better, and I ain't gonna leave you ever. 'Cause when you put your arms around my heart, you're making me, you make me wanna be better, and you make me wanna be better. Yeah, you make me wanna be better, and I ain't gonna leave you ever. 'Cause when you put your arms around my heart, you're making me,
is J4, the artist, the songwriters with us, Nancy Deckant, and I feel better just for knowing you. Nancy, thanks for being on our show today.
Oh, Dave.
That's a great song.
Thank you so much.
I really feel we've heard some future hits here. I really do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I believe in these writers and these people I've spent my time with, and I appreciate, and I just kind of, even looking back, just because of this podcast, I kind of don't believe how beautiful, every one of these artists are.
Yeah.
They're just something else.
Very special people.
Thank God I moved to Nashville.
Yeah, and I do too.
And it's so good to know you.
You
Dave,
too.
Thank you.
Yeah, your passion and your enthusiasm is so infectious, and I wish you continued success with Nashville Cool, the publishing company, and this great organization that I really encourage you to check out. Discover Sooner is a fantastic community of songwriters and publishers, and you should check it out. Nancy, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dave.
Thank you for listening to the Songwriter Connection podcast. Find us on social media at Songwriter Connection. Also, listen to Dave Lanahan's Nashville Connections radio show. It streams live every Friday morning on WOBL and WNOI. Look for us on Facebook and YouTube. See you next time on Songwriter Connection.